Hello everyone. Today we will talk about linear independence and rank of a matrix, which is a subtopic in linear algebra. We have already discussed matrices and vectors and linear system of equations in previous lectures. Uh, Above these topics, we will discuss how a linear system has a linear independence and how the rank of a matrix is related to linear independence. At the same time, we will define the range space and null space for the matrix H. So before starting the lectures, I would like to share why this particular topic is important for you. When we talk about linear independence, we may go into the engineering domain of communication or controls to define the controls better or to have a communication better. But in your case, since the objective is gate, I would refer to some of the gate question which has been asked from this small topic in the previous examinations. So the questions can be as simple as this, when there can be a matrix and you need to find just rank of a matrix, where you have to understand the concept of rank and just answer. And question can be as complex as this. As I said, complex means the question looks complex. It may be complex, it may not be complex when we solve it. So we will see how to solve these kind of questions as well. So let's start with linear independence. So to give a quick overview, rather than going into the mathematical description, I will start with the color map which you guys use while creating a picture or creating a document and then print. So normally we have a multiple colors in a picture or in a document, and now consider, if we do not know any mathematical relation or any dependency relation between the colors, our printer should have so many colors to print a particular document. Sometimes for easy document we refer some standard colors. Still we should have at least these 12 colors in our printer to print, and it would become tough to maintain all those 12 color cartridge and it will become costly as well. But now we know, we have solved the color problem and we find out like there are three basic color RGB, which we say basis, and rest all color are dependent on these three RGB. What does it mean? Initially we had a set of vectors or set of colors where we were having somewhere around 100 or 500 colors. Then we figure out those 500 colors depends on each other, and if we find out the basis of those, we know there are only three independent colors and rest all can be created from these three. So here linearly independence plays an important role. Because we know RGB are linearly independent and rest all are dependent on this, we will have only RGB in a cartridge and we can create all those colors. Now see how we create those colors. So you may be remembering this platelet where we can select a color and we come to know what is the ratio of red, green, blue. So basically this is like how a particular color depend on RGB. So if I talk about white, it's basically full length of R, means when we are going with the scale of 0 to 255, full length of G and full length of B. That's the white. When we come to black, we are not including any R, G or blue. When it comes to red, green and blue, we are having full length of that particular color. And here we selected a new color. So here you can see we are having 20 length of red, 40 length of green and 120 length of blue, and we get a new color. Accordingly, with different value of red, green and blue, we can get all the colors in the picture. So why I explained this thing to you? It is one of the application of linearly independence, which we use in everyday life, and we can link with our everyday work how linearly independence is playing an important role to solve such a complex problem of having thousands of color to a simple problem of having only three colors. Now we will go into the mathematics to see how to solve the question when it is asked in the gate. We will start with definition. So To understand the definition, let's consider a set of m vectors where a1, a2, am represent the vectors. These vectors linear combination we can write like this, where c1, c2 and cm are coefficient. So we are having an equation c1 a1 plus c2 a2 plus cm am. Now consider the another equation when we are considering this combination to 0. When we equate this particular combination to 0, and if we say, now we know this is possible when all c's are 0. That's the best case, what we say a trivial solution. So if this vector equation holds only if all these c equals to 0, then these vectors a1, a2, am are linearly independent. What we are saying, only if. There is no other way to make this particular equation 0 except having all c 0, then these are linearly independent. Now if there is one more option when we need not put some c's to 0 but some other constant value of c's, let's say for c1 and c2 some value 1 and minus 1, and then we get it to 0, then we call these vectors linearly dependent. In this case, we can express at least one of the vectors as a linear combination of other vectors. What is the importance of this? If the set of vectors is linearly dependent, then we can get rid of at least one or perhaps more of the vectors until we get a linearly independent set. Like we have seen in the case of color, we knew the set of thousands of color is linearly dependent. So we started getting rid of the dependent colors until we got to a set which is linearly independent, means the 3 colors. So we got rid of one or more vectors to get a linearly independent set. This set is smallest truly essential for all kind of analysis. In our color example, we needed only 3 colors to generate all kind of colors for printing, for drawing, for everything. And we cannot express any of the vector in this set with the reference to other vectors or in terms of others. Means we cannot express red in terms of green and blue and vice versa. And it's like truly essential. And then how to find linear independence? Basically it linked with the Roy-Killen form, and non-zero entries of Roy-Killen form are linearly independent vector set of a matrix. At the same time, this linearly independent set basically defines the null space, vector space and related concepts of matrix theory, which we will see. Now, before going more into the spaces, let's see how we define rank of a matrix and what is the relationship between linearly independence and rank of a matrix. So, that's the first line. Rank of a matrix is maximum number of linearly independent row vectors of A. What does this mean? Let's say A is a matrix. We are having m cross n vectors. There are m rows and n columns. I am not defining whether m is greater than n or n is greater than m. We will see that later. Now we have one row vector, second row vector and mth row vector. So now there are m row vectors, and if we find out linearly independent row vectors out of those m, max it can be m, but some of them may be dependent on other, as we have seen in the past. So what we have to do, we have to find out the actually linearly independent number, and that's basically the rank of a matrix. We represent rank as rank A. Rank of A equals the maximum number of linearly independent column vectors as well. Means we said like it's a linearly independent row vector as well in linearly independent column vector. What it means, A and its transpose have the same rank. Now the very important thing, rank is invariant under elementary row operation. If you remember, we used elementary row operations, finding out the Roy-Killen form when we replace, interchange rows, multiply one row and add or subtract to other row and related operations. And now we are saying rank is invariant. So we can use those elementary operations to find out the rank. And same, since rank is invariant in elementary operation, Roy-Killen matrices have the same rank. Roy-Killen matrices nothing but matrices which can be obtained by using elementary row operations. we can determine rank of a matrix by reduction to row echelon form, right? Because rank is invariant in elementary operation. We can use elementary operation to reduce the matrix to row echelon form and then see the rank directly from the row echelon form. How directly? Basically the non-zero lines are the rank. So here if you remember, this is a row echelon form, and what we see, these are the zeroth rows and these are the non-zero rows. So in this case, rank of this particular matrix is R, because we are having only R non-zero rows. We can see over here. So now we understood rank is number of linearly independent column or linearly independent rows. So let's see how we can link all these things together. So consider we have p vectors that each have n components, and the matrix formed with these vectors is basically this. So we are having x1, x2 and xp vectors. Each is having n component. Then we form a matrix X where we use these vectors as row vectors of the matrix. So if the vectors are linearly dependent, then we should have rank of this matrix equals to p, because we said rank is equals to number of linearly independent vectors. So if we say all vectors are linearly independent, then rank should be p. However, if we have rank less than p, means these vectors are not linearly independent. So there are some vectors which are dependent. Clear? If rank is less than p, there is dependency. If rank equals to p, then they are linearly independent. Now, if we have number of element is less than number of vectors, then number of columns will be less than number of rows, and as we have seen or as we have discussed, like rank is number of linearly independent columns as well. So rank can be max n in that case, which is always less than p. Then we can say all the vectors are linearly dependent, means they are not forming a linearly independent sets, there are linearly dependent vectors. Clear? So if we have number of vectors more than number of elements or number of dimensions, then they cannot form linearly independent vector. It's like in a 2D space, we cannot have 3 linearly independent vectors. Now we will discuss some of the properties of rank which are very important while solving some of the questions. So we will start for a matrix A of size m cross n. As we have seen, rank of A can be less than equals to minimum number of rows or columns. As we said, rank of A is either number of linearly independent rows or number of linearly independent columns. So it should be less than equals to minimum of rows or comma column. Only a zero matrix has zero rank, means this is very important. If a matrix is having one non-zero entry, means rank is not zero. If all the entries are zero, then only it has a zero rank. Now we will come about the multiplication, because there are many questions has been asked for the multiplication and then rank. For a matrix A m cross n and B n cross p, so we can see matrix multiplication AB is possible. Rank of AB is basically minimum of rank of A comma rank of B. Okay, so and that too it's less than equals to, it's not equals. So the maximum value of rank of AB is the minimum of rank of A and rank of B. Now consider if rank of B is n, means rank B has full row rank, because n is number of rows. So B has full row rank, then AB will have rank equals to A. Get it? We are having n as number of rows in B. If it has rank equals to n, then rank of AB depends only on A. It never depends on B. Same way, if A has full column rank, means equals to number of columns, then rank of AB depends only on rank of B, not anything else. For real matrix, if we take a transpose and we say rank of A transpose A, then it is basically equals to rank of A transpose, and which ultimately equals to rank of A. Okay, so if we are having a multiplication of matrix with its transpose, then ranks remain same as the matrix. As well as rank of A plus B is less than equals to rank of A plus rank of B. With these properties, you will be able to understand ranks properly, and you will be able to apply it to the questions. Now we will see how we can use rank for range space and null space. Suppose that A is a M cross N matrix with real entries. There are two major spaces associated with A. The first one is range spaces. What we say, range of A or column space of A. Always remember, range space is column space of A. How we define? Range space of A is all Y where this Y can be represented as AX equals to Y. Getting? We are talking about column space of A, and what we say, if we find out some X which define another set of Y, then all these Y's are range space of A. Don't go into much detail about it because it will need a deep understanding of matrix theory and vectors, which is not important for the GATE exam. Just say range space is Y when AX equals to Y, and the more important thing is dimension of range space, because most of the questions has been asked for the dimension of range space, and that is basically equals to rank of A. Now we know rank concept, so range space or column space is rank of A. Example, if we have A equals to 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1, now we know what's the rank? 3. So it has 3 range space dimension 3, which is basically a 3D coordinate system. Okay. Now null space. Null space, or what we say kernel of A, is all X such that AX equals to 0. Means wherever we can get X, so that this matrix A make those X to 0, map those X to 0, it's basically null space. Means what are the vectors which our matrix can transform or map to 0 is basically the null space. And dimension of null space is n. N is basically number of rows / number of columns in A minus rank of A. N is basically number of columns minus rank of A. Is basically the null space. Dimension of null space called nullity of A. So in this case, we know rank of A is 3 or 2, dimension is 3, so null space is 1, and we know all X 0 0 X will satisfy null space of A. So this is basically representing only one dimension. There are something called dimension law. As we have seen, like dimension of null space is equals to n minus rank of A. Rank of A is basically dimension of range space. So what we said, dimension of null space plus dimension of range space is equals to n. N is basically number of columns, as you can see over here. And dimension of range space is basically dimension of column space. Row space of A is basically range space of A transpose. If you want to find out row space of A, we take a transpose of A and then we find out the range space. And range space is obtained using row echelon form because range space is directly related to the rank of A. Now we understood rank, we understood linearity independence, we understood range space and null space. Now let's see if we can use these concepts to solve the questions which we have said at the starting and has been asked in GATE. So first question was as simple as this, where we have to tell the rank of matrix. If we see from here, we can clearly say first column is 0. There are only 2 non-zero columns, so the max rank can be 2. Now that's the max. We want to get the actual number. So let's do the math. What we do? We start with this and we do the row transformation to get the row echelon form. We use the first row and we remove the second element from the second and third row. We get this particular matrix. Then one more transformation. Again the elementary row operation. Then we get this. Here we see it's a row echelon form. This is 0. These two elements are 0 and this is non-zero row, and there are 2 non-zero rows, so rank is 2, and that's our basically answer. 2 non-zero rows, so rank is 2. This is very easy. Means you should never do mistake in this kind of questions and you will always get 1 marks for this. Now come to the second question. As I said, it looks complex. Now we are having A and rank of A is given, and B looks quite complex matrix. What the hell B is talking about? We were having nice simple PQRS and V is quite tough, and we have to tell the rank of B. Now here is the trick. we have given information about A, we want to get information about B. So first of all, what we have to find out? We have to find out relationship between A and B so that information of A can be used to derive information of B. So now think, what's the relation between A and B? If I say B equals to PQ RS and then a transpose of it, PQ RS, then it's basically becoming the same value, and that's the relationship. The tough part in this question is just finding out this relationship. You should be clear to understand the matrix multiplication to get this relationship. When you get this relationship, you know it's basically A transpose. And now when we say rank of B, it's basically rank of A transpose, and by using the property which is basically rank of A equals to n. Okay. So next thing is the dimension of null space of the matrix. As we said, there has been questions about null space and range space. Now this matrix is given, and if you see over here, dimension of null space has been asked. So here number of columns is 3. For dimension of null space, what we will do? We will find out the rank. So for finding the rank, what we will do? We just do the elementary row transformation to convert it to the row echelon form, and we say there is 1 0 row. So we can say nullity is 1 or dimension of null space is 1. Nevertheless, don't get confused. We can say there are 2 non-zero rows, rank is 2, column is 3. So dimension of null space is 3 minus 2, which is 1. So 1 is our answer. Okay, clear? So with this, we completed linearly independence and rank of matrix. We will be discussing more topics related to linear algebra and mathematics in subsequent lectures. To know more when we will be having those lectures updated, either subscribe our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook at facebook.com/gateknockout. If you have any query, mail us to gateknockout@gmail.com. We will be happy to reply you back. Thank you. All the best for your preparation.